Umair is a web designer and framer expert, helping creatives build functional websites without code. He has designed and launched over 20 plus sites, sold templates to people worldwide, and now he teaches designers how to turn their skills into income. When we look at your portfolio and we look at what you do, you talk about designs, how to be good at it, how to improve, how to navigate other tools. I want to ask, what is design to you?
So like design can be literally anything basically, right? But design to me is, pushing pixels, right? Drawing squares, putting things together, creating a good user experience so that people can easily navigate your design, right? So design to me is just, pushing pixels basically, but it can literally be anything. Anything is design. Everything is design. But personally, I see design as just pushing pixels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, was there ever a moment, maybe small, maybe life-changing, where you just realized that 9 to 5 wasn't going to be your path, or is it still part of your story? Do you still do 9 to 5, or you've just given up on that entirely?
Okay, so the first day when I got admission, to study law in UNN, I was so excited. But then the first day of lecture, when I went to class, all suited up, like, we wear this, black and white as law student. So I went to class. The class lasted from 8 a.m. to about 4 p.m., I guess. And it was then that I knew that 9 to 5 is not for me, because that was very discouraging. I was just tired, seated one place. I know 9 to 5 can also be remote, but I just didn't like the idea that I was stuck doing one thing for a period of time, right? So that was when I realized that now I have to look for something else to do, an alternative way to make money that would not require that much time. Yeah.
Wow. So, are you saying that if you saw a good job, 9 to 5, well paid, remote, you won't take it? I mean remote. This does not include you going to the office every day of the week?
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, yeah. Maybe this is another question, but I'll just say right now, I'm doing this for the money, and I'm going to be honest with you. However, if I get an offer to do 9 to 5, I will only consider it if the pay is worth it. Yeah. So if it's too good, right? Too good to ignore, then I'm going to probably consider it.
That makes sense. Okay, so another question is, so many people still hear web design, and picture someone buried in code, but you've leaned into no-code tools also. How do you help people unlearn this misconception that web design has to deal with code?
Oh yeah, actually web development. So web design is just design. So it's practically UI UX design, but then it's just for web, right? But then when I see web development, a lot of people just think, yo, do you write code? But that's not always the case, right? There are a lot of no-code tools out there. Framer, which is the one I talk about the most. They work like a design software, basically. So if you know Figma is just a blank canvas where you can put things around, lay things out. You have also other no-code tools, basically no-code tools. So what that means basically is like you're designing, right? But it is doing the work for you. It is writing the code in the background. So you're designing an actual website. You're developing an actual website through design, if I'm making sense. So yeah, that's the major difference between, design and no code. So yeah, you can make websites without knowing how to write a single line of code.
That's interesting, actually. So aside from Framer, what other application do you think someone can learn? I know of WordPress. People say WordPress a lot. There's Wix, there are others, but like, what would you recommend?
All right. So, there are a ton of, no code tools out there. Like you've mentioned, WordPress, Webflow, Framer, Wix, Bubble. There are a lot of them. I personally cannot speak for some of these because I've not tried all of them, but I can speak for Webflow. I can speak for Wix. I can speak for WordPress, and I can most certainly speak for Framer. And I've used these tools. I've tried them. I've explored, and I'll tell you that Framer is the best to use because the interface is too clean, right? It's not hard to understand, and it is completely no code, right? So you see platforms like WordPress, if you're trying to do some advanced stuff or animations or interactions, you might end up, learning HTML and CSS at some point. So that's why I would recommend Framer because it's just so easy to learn and it's user friendly.
I think I'm going to try my hands on Framer one of these days. Okay. So when it comes to building websites beyond how they look, what actually makes a good website to you? Are there simple principles you follow that you live by when creating a design?
Yeah, actually, it's white space basically, but generally speaking, if you want to build a clean website, you just need to pay attention to two very important things, right? Hierarchy and typography. Yeah, those are very, very important if you want your website to look not just good, but if you want it to, be effective. Yeah, so you have to make sure the typography, the fonts basically fits or matches, the product you're building. And then you have to make sure there's hierarchy so that users can easily scan through. And then there's white space as well. It just makes everything look more polished and more refined, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Wow. So someone has to take into consideration white space, hierarchy, typography. I'm guessing font too, because. Oh, okay. That's really nice. So you also talk about how to land roles as a creative designer, how to get, well-paying jobs, or not even jobs, but get into the money system while still doing your thing. I want to ask, how do you balance getting paid what you're worth with building a solid client base, especially in this market? Sometimes you get to negotiate with a client, and what they're trying to pay you for a certain project seems just too small. But then you still want to create relationship. You want to have a client base at least. How do you manage creating a balance between knowing your worth and maintaining a good relationship with a client?
Okay, this is a very, very important question. A lot of freelancers are, desperate, yeah. So most of the time they tend to accept, jobs, even though it pays them way less, what they are actually worth. But one thing I want to say right now is, there is always that one client or that one person that can pay your rates, like pay you what you're actually worth, right? So you don't have to worry about building a client base or getting all the clients you can in the world. Nah. In fact, the fewer clients, the better. So there's this thing called fulfillment here. If you have, maybe 2 clients that pay you actually what you're worth, it's far better than having 10 clients that pay you, less than what you're worth. So you're just doing more job for less. So yeah, just stand your ground. Like I would always say, position yourself properly, have a solid portfolio, because that's the way you can, let the clients believe or understand that you're actually worth this particular price that you're charging. So yeah, build your portfolio, stand your ground. And I made a video one time, but I think I didn't post it on my page. It was a story. Yeah, so if you want a client to actually pay you what you're worth and even more, you don't just, state the price. So let's say a client reaches out to you, for instance, and asks you, I want the website for so and so business or my brand or anything. You don't just rush and say, how many pages do you want? And then the client says maybe 4. and then your next response is, and that will be $500 or $1,000. Don't do that, because if you do that, the clients would most likely price, and then like you're just too upfront. So one thing I would advise people to do, designers especially, when a client reaches out to you and asks you, or tell you that they want the website for their product or their business, start asking questions, right? Like, let them feel like you understand fully well what they are trying to build. You feel me? So ask them questions, ask them about their brand, ask them about what they are planning to achieve with the site that they want to build or that they want me to build for them. And then sort of see things that they already know. So obviously in a website, there is a contact section or a contact page. So just reinforce it and say there has to be a contact page. The client is going to look at you and be like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. Now, when you're done, yeah, exactly. Like when you're done telling the client all these things, yeah, now the client is invested. Now they feel like, okay, you understand the project and you're the most suitable person for that role. Now you state your price. Whatever you say, I promise you, the clients would consider it, even if it's something that you did not imagine that you would charge. Just state it, and then hear what the client has to say. They would obviously negotiate, but you would meet at, something very high. So yeah, that's one way you can, charge higher without necessarily compromising on your client's, acquisition, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow. So there's a concept to standing your ground. You mentioned that you have to position yourself properly and then build a strong portfolio. So if these are like prerequisites for being able to charge your worth, I want to ask, how then do you think a designer or a techie should position themselves properly in this space?
All right. For starters, yeah, you need to have a very good social media presence. Yeah, that's important. Another thing is you need to have a solid portfolio. See, I would always tell people that if you're looking to land a high-paying client, don't use Behance. Or if you're looking to land a full-time, maybe design role or design gig, Behance works. Don't get me wrong, but it is cliche. Everyone uses Behance. Like, stand out, do something different. Now, imagine a scenario where you're a hiring manager, for instance, and you're going through 100 portfolios, and then like they all keep sending you Behance links, and then you see an actual portfolio site. Obviously, like, it's different, and you'd want to pay more attention to that. So yeah, that's one way to package yourself properly. So yeah, when a client sees your portfolio, they're like, okay, this person is professional, this person is pro, they know what they are doing. That is how you can position yourself properly and charge more in today's freelance world.
That's really interesting. I like how you put it, package yourself very well, package yourself well. I think that's really important. If I was the hiring manager, really, I would go for that person because it's just going to stand out differently. And just one thing before my next question, you mentioned you have a content on this. Please post it. We want to see it. We need to watch it. All right. So there's this constant tension, I believe, because I also create content, and I can tell you for a fact that sometimes I find it very exhausting just coming up with what to say. Even if I do know how to say it, it's just stressful. I want to ask, since you've built a presence on TikTok and you've built that on YouTube too, was that always natural for you, or did you wrestle with showing up publicly and consistently?
You see, funny enough, yeah, I started creating content last month. I would say build a personal brand online and all to be able to land clients. But I personally didn't need all of these to land clients. I mean, I'm contradicting myself right now, but that's not the case. I started creating content last month, and the reason for this is I'm trying to take matters into my hands. Yeah. Creating content actually was not something that I enjoy doing. Yeah, so I'm sort of introverted, right? I don't like to come online and, talk or like do anything at all online. I just like to stay by myself and do my thing. I mean, I was already getting clients, so I didn't think it was necessary. But I saw that now, the world is changing, and no, I did not wrestle. I did not, it wasn't a struggle. Like, I did not find it difficult to come online and post. I mean, it's necessary. It's mandatory. Like, you don't even have an option at this point. You just have to come out there and put yourself out there. Right. So it was something I needed to do, and I just did it. I wanted to be able to talk about what I do. I wanted people to see me. I wanted people to know that, okay, I'm building something big for freelancers, designers, creatives in general. So the only way to do that was to come out and post and talk about my products shamelessly. So that's why I started making content, basically.
I love how you put it. You said shamelessly. Oh my God. I think I have that to wrestle with. That's interesting, really, really fascinating. So do you think in this world that we live, building an online presence is a must? I'm using the word must. You've already highlighted the importance, but I want to ask, do you think it's a must for creatives, or can someone still quietly succeed? You also mentioned that you've been getting clients before coming online publicly. So do you think one should add coming online publicly to showcase their work as a must, or they should just do it because they can and because they would still get clients with or without the online presence?
Yeah. So yeah, it's not a must, right? It's not a must. For the longest time, I've just been in my shell. In fact, nobody would even know I existed, but I was doing pretty good. I was getting clients. I have like strategies that I use to get clients, which I'm working on a video for that. New strategies that like people have not heard about. So yeah, I don't think it's a must, but I think it's going to give you an edge, right? Because it will be easier for you to land clients. So just imagine maybe you reach out to somebody, maybe you DM'd a potential client and you're like, yo, I want to work for you and all. And the client, in fact, likes your portfolio, but then maybe wants to be sure that you're real and you don't have an online presence. Yeah, that's like going to affect you negatively, right? So having an online presence, creating content around what you do is important. It will give you an edge, but it is not mandatory to land jobs or clients.
Okay, it's like having a track record people can, trace you back to. Wow. So you mentioned, and I'd like that you give us at least a little bit of what you're cooking already. You mentioned that you have strategies you use to land clients before even coming online publicly to share your work, and you're cooking something separate to show people more of that. But would you do us the honors of telling us a few things that could help any creative person, any techie that's trying to, get clients, get their job to be seen by the people that need to see it outside just showing up online? What are the strategies you've used?
Yeah, so since I'm going to make the video on it anyways, I think that will drop tomorrow. I might as well just see it right now. So yeah, one of the methods actually is three, but I'll talk about just one, so I don't, ruin the surprise and all. But yeah, one thing that I did, right? So last year, to be precise, when I started learning Fremont, I was pretty good at it. So I was on Discord one very good afternoon, right? Because I like to hang out on Discord a lot. And then this cold caller reached out to me. One popular guy, he calls people, like he knows how to close deals over the phone. He's a white guy basically. So he reached out to me and he was like, yo, he has seen my portfolio and he likes it. So he said that he has a proposition, he has a proposal rather. And it was like, how about we start a business together, like we partner up? And I was like, okay, what are you cooking? Then he said, he can get clients, right? But then he doesn't know web design. So when he gets the clients, I handle the web design. And I'm like, sure, because I had nothing to lose. I just had to stay on my own and let him do the actual work of bringing in the clients. So I thought it was going to be difficult, right? Because I'm judging based on my environment. See, how well does cold calling work in Nigeria? But I don't know if it's something that works really well in the US. So when we made the whole agreement and all, everything made sense. Talked about how revenue will be splitted, and we agreed. And it was like 2 days later, he came on and was like, there's this project that he got a plumbing website, because we decided to like focus on a niche that's for plumbers, yeah. So he got the first client paid. Well, we splitted the money. So he collects 40%, I collect 60 because I'm doing the actual work, right? So that was the model I used. But in the video, I'm just going to say, you can reverse it, right? So now, cold calling, we all know that cold calling works better than cold DMs or cold email. It's easier to close a client via calling them and hearing their voice and talking to them rather than just sending a chunk of text trying to, sell them your service. So yeah, designers can basically reach out to cold callers. There are communities of these people online, on Reddit, on Discord. You can find people that just do cold calling for a living. Reach out to them. Reach out to people in the country that you want to work in. Like maybe, for instance, someone in the US that could call people in the US. Reach out to someone like that. Agree, discuss about everything, and then they make the calls. You do the work. That's it. I believe it's going to work because most of these cold callers, they don't even know their potential yet. But if you can tell them, I'm telling you, they don't know their potential yet. Most of them just wait until maybe an agency hires them to do cold calling. But they don't know that they can do the cold calling by themselves and get the client and even get the job done by someone else. So suggest it to them, talk to them, just make it a very formal thing. Yeah, it's just like a business. You're trying to make money for them while they make money for you. So yeah, that's like one thing that worked for me, and there are like two more, but I'll talk about those like obviously in details in my next video tomorrow.
Since we're not getting that here, no problem. Wow, that's beautiful. Finding out that you could use cold calling to land clients even in, the tech space. But in our own environments, I don't know how much of that would work because, first of all, we Nigerians are something else. But that's by the way. Let's just leave that. But that's a really good strategy. It's amazing how it works. So I want to ask, would you recommend freelancing as a way of building credibility before going for bigger full-time roles, or is that path not just for everyone? Do you think everybody has to freelance for a while before landing a full-time job?
Okay, so personally, when I started designing, I was a full-time designer. Yeah, so I got the job by just, doing passion projects or random projects, and I was working full-time. Again, this 9 to 5 factor is still affecting me because, I just didn't like the fact that I was staying up in the midnight and then they were monitoring what I was doing. It was just not for me, man. It was not for me. So I quit. For real, like, I just told them, yo, I can't do this anymore. And I was very happy I did it. In fact, I didn't have plan. No. I didn't know what to do next. Yeah.
Wow, that's a risk.
A very, very big risk, but it was very worth it. I quit, started growing, right? Started growing. So yeah, it doesn't matter how you start. It just depends on what you actually want. So if you want to be a full-time remote worker, go for it. You don't need to be a freelancer first before you transition to that. So yeah, just do what you want to do because you want to do it. There is no step by step to this process.
I think I totally agree. Just do what works for you. So, you've worked with the 9 to 5. You hated it, yes, and you've moved into freelancing. But I think with your experience, you now understand how things work, how to spot a really good designer by their designs. So I want to ask you, when companies or clients are hiring designers or creatives, what do you think they're really looking out for beyond the technical checklist? What do you think they want to see?
It will surprise you to know that there are not enough talents out there. So that's why I say design isn't necessarily saturated. So I've had the chance to like hire someone, in the design space. So in the company I worked for, so basically I was working with the hiring manager to hire a new designer for the team. And then we got like I think 1,000 and applications. And I thought maybe it was gonna be easy to find somebody, right? But I promise you, I could not just see anyone that was good. Right. So
Wow, out of 1,000 people.
Obviously we found some of them, but just a handful, right? So I just feel like landing jobs won't be difficult if you're good at what you do, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's just it. Because most of the people that come to my DM to tell me, I've not been able to land a job since I started designing, and I maybe see their portfolio, I can probably just say, oh, that's probably why. So yeah, just get good at what you do. Like I have not seen a single designer that is good at designing that don't have a job or have not landed a job with a freelance role. You get what I mean? So it's just simple. Get good at designing. That's it.
Know your onions. Simple and short. Wow.
Exactly.
Straight to the point. I like that actually. Thank you. So you've also spoken about how to make passive incomes in most of your videos. I've seen that. And I'm like, yeah, this video for me. But let's be honest, there's a lot of noise out there, What feels real to you and what's just the hype? Because you've listed these things out now and certain people will try it and it might not work. People are dabbling into this space of design and trying to get a job here, trying to make passive income by doing this and doing that. But beyond the hype of, if you use Framer code, you could do this. If you use that code, you could do this. What do you think is actually real and works to make passive incomes, especially in the design space?
Okay, yeah, good question. When I made that video, my mind was, I was talking to web designers. So honestly, I didn't have other industry in mind. I didn't have video editors in mind or developers in mind. I was just referring to web designers and specifically designers that use no code, Framer to be precise. Exactly. So after that video, it blew up and I was not even expecting it, but I got a ton of DMs from people asking me how they can do the same in their industry. But if you look at it from a, worldly view, there are a lot of digital products out there that you can create and sell. That's just the truth. Apart from website templates, apart from Framer, apart from no code or web design, if you're a developer, you can literally do the same thing. Just find something that you would buy. Find something that if you see online as a developer, you would buy it because you like it and it's going to literally make your life easier. That's exactly what you should be creating. You get? So I don't want to talk much about these other industries because I don't have much experience in them. Exactly. But when it comes to Framer and no code, I can guarantee anyone that's going to listen to this that if you learn Framer well enough, you build a template and you submit it to Framer's marketplace, you would make a ton of money. And I'm not even talking about maybe $100. Like you'd literally make salary, like you'd make good money every single month. I'm a living witness. A couple of friends that I have that have, joined the trend can testify to this as well. So yeah, it just works. And the same thing can be applicable to Webflow because they have a similar, Webflow store. So WordPress as well, they have WordPress themes. So if you use no code, this is very applicable to you. But generally speaking, you can create digital products in your own space and sell because people are already doing these things and they're making a ton of money. So that's just pretty much it.
That makes a lot of sense. So I want to ask this for someone listening, maybe they're overwhelmed, with what to do and you've explained a lot of things, how to get certain things done, how to make money beyond this and that. But now I want you to give like a direct advice to anybody listening. Maybe they're curious, they're overwhelmed. If you had to tell them one simple place, to start earning between 9 to 5, beyond 9 to 5, where would you point them to? Like, this is where you begin to earn as a designer in this space, as a creative in this space. Where would you point them to? I mean, they've been working on their own, but it's not putting the money in their banks properly. So
Okay,
what would you
yeah.
point them to?
I don't know if you've watched the video, but I quit freelancing. I mean, not entirely. So like, I just told myself that if the money that they are offering is not, above a threshold that I set for myself, I am not taking it, no matter how broke I am. But that's by the way. If you want to make money as a designer, you want to make more money basically, there are many things you can do, honestly. I started building my personal brand last month because I wanted to make money. And I feel like you can do the same as well, right? You can start a content channel. You can start making tutorials on YouTube, start making tutorials on TikTok, talking about what you do. Position yourself as an authority in your space. Yeah, so by doing this, you're not just attracting clients or attracting, money that's from the platforms themselves, but you're also building yourself in a way that in the future, when you have something that you want to sell, be it a course, be it a template or a digital product, anything at all, you have an audience to sell to. So yeah, beside freelancing, besides full-time role, you can build a personal brand, not just to get clients, but to sell things, if I'm making sense.
Wow. Actually, that does make a lot of sense. Personal brand. That just shows track record for people to come back and understand that, oh, you've been doing this for a while. You're legit. That makes sense. So what do you think is the biggest trap that most creative fall into? What do you think is the most common mistake that designers in this tech space fall into when they try to monetize or when they're just, busy crafting their designs or their brands?
Okay, so a common mistake that I know of is that most people, most freelancers in general, are impatient. Yeah, so most of them just want to make money without necessarily doing the work, right? So I've noticed this a lot. I met someone recently on TikTok, and then they were like telling me that they've been, freelancing for a couple of years. Sorry, not years, months. I think they started learning last year, and to date, they've not made money from freelancing. And I'm like, you just started. Like, you have to calm down. You have to be patient enough. Understand this piece. I'm not saying that there are instances where you can't make money within 3 months of learning design. There obviously are, but the normal time I would see generally is 6 months at least. So if you start freelancing today, just tell yourself that in the next 6 months, you're not going to make nothing from this, right? You're not going to make any money from this. So just have that at the back of your mind, right? And another thing I want to talk about is for those of us that sell digital products here. So before you sell, make sure to validate what you're selling, right? It applies to freelancing as well. That service you're offering, just make sure that it is in demand before you start to push yourself out there. Because there are obviously skills out there that you'll be offering and you tell yourself, okay, you think that this thing is going to sell and you go all in. So yeah, I'm just scratching the surface basically, but the major mistake I've seen freelancers make is they are being impatient, first of all. And secondly, they don't learn the skill well enough before they start to apply for jobs and go into the job market. So yeah, they just go into the job market unprepared. See, we live in a very competitive world today, right? There are a lot of good designers in this space. So if you want to get that $5,000 per month job or role, you need to be a very good designer, a very, very good designer. Yeah, so
That makes a lot of sense. I think there's this level of impatience that everybody just sort of get, oh, I want to make the money, tech is money, but everybody needs to calm down at one point. So I want to ask one last question. Do you think success looks different for you now than it did when you started?
Yeah, 100%. I just like the fact that uh everything is working for my good. So yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes, yeah. But I don't regret anything. So I started as a full-time designer. Funny enough, my story sounds like, um what's that thing called? A Cinderella movie. It just sounds so sweet, but about everything is complicated behind the scenes. So back when I was still in school, I graduated last year, by the way. So when I was still in school, maybe third year or so, started learning design. And that same year, I was lucky enough to get my full time role. But I was not there for more than 6 months. The pay was not bad. I mean, for someone that just started design, the pay was not bad, but the workload was just too much, and the time zone was annoying. So yeah, I quit without any plan. I was back to square zero, right? I started again, started freelancing again. Freelancing started getting complicated because I just did not like the fact that I was exchanging my time for money actively, if that makes sense. Like I didn't like the fact that if I did not work, I would not get money. So I had to start freelancing again. Also, I stumbled across, templates, Fremont, and that's been working so far for me well. Because right now I'm literally making money, while I'm busy or while I'm in the gym or while I'm sleeping. So I like this lifestyle right now, and I believe that I've been lucky enough to get successful over the past few years. So yeah, that's just pretty much a summary of how my life's been since I started designing.
Wow. Wow. That's really fascinating. That's really good to hear too. I said that was the last question, but just to round things up, I want to ask one more thing. So you said you studied law and you started designing in school. You got your first freelancing job and everything. I want to ask, when you started this design thingy and then you were a student of law, because now if you had told me you studied computer science, cybersecurity, or anything tech engineering, I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, people pick up things every now and then you picked up design. But law, you are studying law. You should be called to bar. Why are you in front of your system? Like, how do you ever think to yourself that, maybe I should practice law later on? Or you're like, nah, that chapter has closed.
It hasn't entirely closed, actually. I see myself, applying law and what I've learned into tech and all, but the thought process, while I was in school, ASU was just going on strike. So yeah, it was never in my plan to learn tech, but I did not have a choice at the time because there was just one longer strike. I think it was about 10 months. So that was the time I was like, okay, I need to do something with my life because ASU is not helping matters. I don't know if you know what ASU is.
I do. I'm a Nigerian.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, ASU was messing with me, man. So I had to learn design. So fun fact, yeah, this my YouTube account, yeah, that has 11,000 subscribers. So I did not grade off of design content. So it was that same period of time, that ASU strike, that I started this whole thing. I started designing, I started creating, random ass content on YouTube just to, get views and get followers and get monetized so I could make money and all. So I just had to rebrand it right now because I'm leaving that whole previous content behind. I want to start creating content for web design on my YouTube. But that's by the way. Law is a good course. I used to have passion for it. That was when I was in, yeah, I'm serious. When I was like in first year, second year, I was so serious with the whole thing. I mean, it was UNN, so if I was not serious, I would not graduate with a good result.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I started seeing tech money, the whole thing changed. The whole story changed. Yeah, I started seeing law in a different light. Cause like in my head, I'm like, is this course even worth it? Do you get? I started getting ideas. Cause I got this rule one time. I got this international rule one time. So it was a rule that required me to like relocate, right? That's to the Netherlands. So I was so excited. I was willing, I was ready to drop law, like drop out of school, yeah. But the whole family was against it. Like, it was just like, yo, you started doing the law already. Just finish it up. This one, that one. After school, you get the same offer. So yeah, I lost all the energy in me to study law, to get the first class when I was in like third year. I was just doing it for the vibes, doing it to graduate. Yeah. Well, by the grace of God, I'm a graduate now, but I've not been called to bar yet. I'll be called to bar next year because I've not gone to law school yet.
By the way, you're called to tech still, so that makes sense.
Everything I call.
Everything I call, that makes sense. I just like the way you're being honest about how school was for you. I think everybody kind of had a struggle in school. School is just something else, really. We're all just glad we've graduated. It's a good thing. And then you just found the love for tech when you started seeing tech money. It's like
I don't love tech. I will always say this thing like, it's okay to do it for the money. Like, you don't have to be passionate about tech all the time. Yeah, so I'm doing it for the sole purpose of making money out of it. And I'm proud of saying this. In fact, I was interviewing one time for a role and I told the interviewer, I'm doing this for the money and I am damn good at it. And I was hired. That's funny. That's funny for you. Like, you don't have to, yeah, you have to just be real, man. Like, you don't have to wish through, I am passionate about design in your portfolio.
The cliche, yeah. I like that, actually. If you're not passionate, don't lie.
Don't lie about, like, don't have to say that. It just feels fake and, robotic.
I have a weird take on passion. I always tell people, do not follow your passion, but maybe that'll be something for another day, because your passion can be anything, but not all passions make you money. For instance, now, you're not particularly passionate about tech, but you're making the money, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Yeah. They say follow your passion and then you make money out of it, but not in all the case.
Not in all the case. And, we're in Nigeria, there are certain things crawling everywhere. Things like SAPA, and then the government, and then every other thing. If you're not careful, your passion will lead you down the road. So you need money to stay afloat.
Exactly.
Then if you make the money, then you can now, go back to your passion.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for coming on Ruthie Speaks. Like, oh my God, I enjoyed every bit of conversation with you. Thank you so much. I'd love to do this again some other time.